There is a specific kind of pain that comes from working in the dark. It isn't the sharp, stinging pain of a sudden injury, nor is it the dull ache of a long illness. It is a silent, suffocating heaviness. It is the pain of pouring your heart, your sweat, and your limited time into a void and waiting for an echo that never comes. Have you ever worked yourself to the bone for a month straight, only to look at the results and see a perfect round zero? I have. And I felt that exact crushing weight every single morning when I walked into this room to check on this plant. For the first 4 weeks, my relationship with this pot of soil was defined by one emotion: resentment. I had done everything right. I had read the manuals, I had prepared the soil with the perfect balance of nutrients, I watered it on a strict schedule, I even adjusted the humidity of the room to mimic its native environment. I was the perfect caretaker. And how did this plant repay me? With silence. Absolute, insulting silence. Day after day, I stared at a flat patch of brown earth. There was no green shoot, there was no cracking of the surface, there was nothing to suggest that life existed in that pot at all. It looked exactly the same on day 30 as it did on day 1. I started to feel foolish. You know that feeling when you tell your friends you are starting a new project, or launching a business, or writing a novel, and they ask you, "How is it going?" And you have to lie. You have to say, "It's going great," when in reality, you haven't made a single inch of visible progress. You feel like a fraud. That is how I felt looking at this dirt. I felt like I was nurturing a delusion. I began to look at the other plants in my garden with jealousy. The radishes, the beans, the wildflowers, they were so easy. You water them and 2 days later they pop up. They give you instant gratification. They validate your effort immediately. They say, "Good job, here's a leaf." But this plant, it was stubborn. It was arrogant. It demanded everything and gave nothing. By the end of the first month, I was ready to quit. I stood over the pot with a trowel in my hand, fully intending to dig it up, dump the soil into the compost bin, and plant something that would actually appreciate my efforts. I thought, maybe the seed was a dud. Maybe I drowned it. Maybe I'm just not good at this. I was judging the success of my work based solely on what I could see with my eyes, and that was my mistake. That is the mistake we all make. We live in a surface-level world. We are obsessed with the visible. We count likes, we count dollars, we count the number of pages written. If we can't see it, we assume it isn't there. But I stopped myself. I don't know why, but I put the trowel down. And instead of digging it up, I decided to do some research on what was actually supposed to happen. And what I found changed my entire perspective on not just gardening, but on life itself. I learned that this plant wasn't dead. It wasn't lazy. It was actually working harder than any other plant in the room, but it was doing a different kind of work. While the radishes and the beans were busy rushing to the surface to show off their first leaves, this plant was digging. It was obsessed with the underground. You see, this plant knew something that the others didn't. It knew that it was destined to grow tall, extremely tall. It knew that in the future it would have to withstand high winds, heavy rains, and the crushing weight of its own height. If it rushed to the surface now with a shallow root system, it would collapse under its own ambition. It would be a disaster waiting to happen. So it made a calculated decision. It chose to sacrifice short-term visibility for long-term stability. For those 4 agonizing weeks of silence, it was fighting a war beneath the soil. It was sending out thick, strong rhizomes. It was weaving a complex net of roots that locked into the earth with the grip of a vice. It was anchoring itself. It was building a foundation massive enough to support the skyscraper it planned to become. I realized then that I wasn't waiting for it to grow. I was waiting for it to build. There is a profound difference between being stagnant and being foundational. Stagnation is when you stop moving. Foundational work is when you move downwards so you can eventually move upwards. When you are studying for a degree and feel like you aren't making money yet, you are rooting. When you are going to the gym for weeks and don't see muscle definition yet, you are rooting. When you are building a business and haven't made your first sale, you are not failing, you are rooting. Once I understood this, my anger vanished. It was replaced by a deep respect. I looked at that empty patch of soil and I no longer saw a failure. I saw a construction site. I imagined the complex architecture being built in the dark, the unseen network that was growing stronger by the hour. I continued to water it, but this time I did it with faith, not frustration. And then, it happened. The breakthrough. It didn't happen gradually. It felt like an explosion. On day 45, a tip broke the surface. It looked sharp, focused, and incredibly strong.
And once it breached the surface, the rules of physics seemed to break. Because the root system was already fully established, the plant didn't need to waste time searching for nutrients. It had an unlimited supply chain already built underground. It simply accessed that power and shot up. I am not exaggerating when I say you could almost watch it grow with the naked eye. It grew inches in a single day. In 1 week, it surpassed the height of the plants that had been growing for a month. It was terrifyingly fast. It was unstoppable. It pierced through the air like a green spear, unfolding leaf after leaf with a rhythm that felt like a drumbeat. It went from being the most disappointing plant in the collection to the most magnificent giant in the room in the blink of an eye. My friends came over and saw it. They gasped. They said, "Wow, that grew so fast. You must have a green thumb. You're so lucky." I just smiled. They saw the overnight success. They didn't see the 4 weeks of staring at dirt. They didn't see the doubt. They didn't see the underground war. They didn't understand that the speed of the ascent was only possible because of the duration of the descent. This plant taught me the most important lesson about ambition. If you are currently working hard and seeing no results, do not stop. Do not let the silence of the surface fool you. You are not stagnant. You are building the infrastructure for a massive life. Most people quit during the rooting phase. They quit because the work is hard and the applause is non-existent. They quit because they look at others who chose the radish path, quit growth, shallow roots, and they feel inadequate. They want the leaf before they have the root. But you are building a bamboo life. You are playing the long game. The reason it is taking you longer is because your destiny is higher. The reason your struggle is invisible is because your foundation is being laid deep in the bedrock where no storm can shake it. So when you look at your life and see a flat, empty surface, do not despair. Do not pick up the trowel and destroy what you have started. Close your eyes and visualize what is happening underneath. Feel the roots spreading, feel the anchor tightening. Trust the timing of your life. Because I promise you this, when you finally break through, when you finally hit that tipping point where your preparation meets opportunity, you will not just grow, you will launch. You will soar to heights that the fast growers can only dream of. And when you are standing tall, looking down from the clouds, you will be thankful for every single silent day you spent in the dark. Keep watering, keep believing. Your explosion is coming.